Alright guys, welcome back for another video on Kuroko's Basketball, and today was a big date because we actually had the brand new character added to the game, but this time around, depending on which server, we actually got a different character. So on the US server, which is where I am on right now, we have Perfect Copy Kise, whereas on the Southeast Asia server, they have gotten the Gintama collab event. Now personally, I don't really mind which order they come in. However, one thing which I do feel a bit sad on the US server is that if they do not actually have the copyright licenses for Gintama event, and therefore we won't actually be getting that collab event full stop, rather just delayed, then that I feel like that's a bit of a pity for the US server because it's already very likely that we won't be getting any of the NBA characters on the North American server either, because on the Southeast Asia server they actually had the NBA collab in terms of the jersey already. They didn't have the characters, but they already have the jerseys. However, on the US server, we have never gotten that. I'm guessing it's going to be a copyright or licensing issue, etc. And now, if it turns out that we won't be getting Gintama either, it just kind of feels like the North American server is missing out on like 10%, 20% of the content out there, which is going to be really, really sad. So perfect. Personally, I don't know how I feel about this. Like, if it's just like I said, if it's changing order, then I'm absolutely fine for Gintama to happen later on, as long as it still come to US. However, if it's just not coming at all due to licensing or copyright, then I just feel like yeah, it's a bit of a shame for the North American players. I'll have to be honest. But anyway, back onto the main topic, which is going to be Perfect Copy Kise. So as usual, I'm going to briefly talk about what kind of character he is, and then going on to Talent Party, Awakening, and then finish off with a potential build. So starting off with kind of what kind of character he is, he's definitely a bit of an all-rounder. Just take a look at his stats. He is pretty decent on every single one of them. The only thing he may be slightly lacking is going to be rebound, but to be honest, he has pretty decent vertical, so you may still be able to snatch a few rebounds every now and then if it just happens to be near you. So yeah, he's definitely a bit of an all-rounder. Now his main gimmick is the fact that he can do all different type of other generation miracle characters moves, and in fact they can even combo it up. If you take a look at his own ult, it's all kind of different combo between other generation miracle. Okay, so you have, for example, Aomine plus Akashi, you have Aomine plus Murasaki Bara, you have Aomine plus Midorima. Like, there's so many different variations, and that basically makes Perfect Copy Kise one of the best character in the game, but also one of the hardest character to master, purely because there's so many different variations of what you can do. So if you're able to play him well, he's definitely top tier. However, you may actually have a bit of a learning period to actually get the best out of him at the same time. Okay. Now let's talk about talent priority. So starting off with his skill one, this is one of his most core mechanics. I know it's not flashy in the sense that you won't be able to copy many other generation miracles. However, this is kind of his bread and butter. You kind of want to master your own skills before then using other generation miracle skills. Okay, so if you're on a budget, as a bare minimum, you want to unlock the second block timing for his layup, okay, or for his dunk, and then going to this back hook. So this is mandatory. However, ideally, if you do have resources, I would actually recommend you go all the way to them, because this one is actually very important for his kit. When you use Aluminium's drive, you are actually able to reset the cooldown for your own drive, and that opens up a whole dimension of possibility in terms of your movement and where you're able to drive towards positioning, etc. So this is definitely very important. So ideally, I would actually suggest you guys go all the way to the end. However, if you're on a tight budget, you can bare minimum get to the second block timing first. Okay. Then for the second skill tree, unlock the first node is going to be enough. So the side step fade away, because with this you already are able to play guessing game with the opponent. The whoever's guarding you need to make sure to follow up with your fade, and then you have two block timing in terms of you attacking the basket, and then the center is forced to play a guessing game, because it's very likely whoever is marking you won't be able to rush back in time, because they need to actually guard the fadeaway instead. Okay, so that's kind of why the first two skill tree, even though it's just his own move, it's actually going to be quite important. And then the next one on his skill tree is going to be Midorima's 3-pointer. This one I only recommend if you actually have him at Awakening 3, because once you actually have him at Awakening 3, this is guaranteed to go in if it's not interfered. So that's kind of why I feel like this is important, but only when you're at Awakening 3. If you're on low budget with only a base copy of Kise, there's no need to unlock this straight away. Then we move on to his defensive skill, which is skill 3 and skill 4. For this one, for skill 3, I personally think just the first node is going to be enough. So you're just able to turn around without any delays. And then for skill 4, this is the blocking one. This one I would probably recommend going all the way to the end because he is actually very good defensively. You're already able to cover all of the offensive with kind of the basic variations from your dunk and also fadeaway. And so that's kind of why you are then able to turn your resources into the defensive end instead. And then for his ultimate, all of these are very strong, but like I said, it takes a bit of skill to actually get used to it with all of the different variation. So that's kind of why, even though this may be his signature skills, I am actually going to personally put it at the lowest priority because I feel like even if you actually unlock them, you won't actually be able to master them straight away. So I will actually suggest you guys take it slowly, step by step, unlock them one by one to actually get used to all of those different combos first. Okay, so that's going to be kind of the talent priority I recommend. Now, in terms of awakening, for me personally, I feel awakening 3 is kind of the sweet spot for him, purely because of that fact. Now you also have a 3-pointer threat in the sense that if they do not interfere when you are jumping up, then you will be an open shot. Okay, so almost guaranteed to go in. So awakening 3 to me is something you definitely want to aim for. Awakening 4 personally, I also feel it's quite nice because it once again it kind of improve his defensive capability. It's a must-have, not really, but personally I feel like awakening 3, awakening 4 is going to be kind of the sweet spot for him. Now in terms of the potential build, because Perfect Copy Kise actually have 4 ults, so one for each of the generation miracle characters. So that's kind of why it's actually going to be quite beneficial for you guys to pick energy related ones because you essentially are charging up towards all 4 of those ults at the same time. So for the blue ones, you want to go for either initial energy or energy regen. Either one's fine. It's more down to your preference, whether or not you want to have your ult very, very early on, or you want to prepare yourself more for example, in case it goes to overtime, etc., for the longer second half of the match. And then for the green one, you want to go for block energy regen. He already have very good block, and the energy regen is obviously also very nice here. And then for the yellow one, you probably want to go for mid range and block. You will still be using mid range a lot as one of your main ways to attack because essentially the idea is that you have so many different variations of drive, you're able to find open spaces fairly easily. So that's kind of why mid-range shots is still going to be good, and obviously the secondary stat block that's kind of needed for the defensive as well. Okay, so that's going to be for all of the potentials. Now in terms of the traits, I'm going to say make some noise is going to be absolutely mandatory because you definitely need the energy for all of those different ults. And then in terms of the other two, it's going to be more down to your own personal preference. Personally, I feel like there's a choice of 3. You can either go for two-way player, which increase basically your mid-range and also block range. So this is quite good if you want to go for more hybrid build where you also want to focus on your defense and also predominantly attacking via mid-range. Or alternatively, you can also double up on your energy gain. So by choosing building momentum as well. This is just so that if you actually very focused on pure offensive, then obviously each score, whenever you score, is able to further increase your ult energy as well. So those two are some of the choices you can have. And then the other choice, I don't have it, but if you look into the back, the other one is going to be unstoppable. And the nice thing about this is that it actually improves all of the offensive moves, including 3-pointer as well. So if you're actually the type of Kise who want to go out of the perimeter line for actually quite a few 3-pointers, then this may be another alternative option for your trades. Okay, but yeah, so those are gonna be kind of the build guide for Perfect Copy Kise. Let me know what you guys think, and also are you planning to get this character?